Hi everyone, welcome to our today's tutorial about StorageEdge installation and configuration. We assume that we have installed a SharePoint 2010 across two of our servers, which are exactly Demo 1 and Demo 2. These are two of my boxes. And we are going to perform these 5 steps. We need to have the StorageEdge downloaded from one of our websites, that is www.alachisoft.com. And let's remote into one of these boxes and do these 5 steps. So first of all, we are going to install StorageEdge across all WFE servers. I'm going to do the installation steps on one of the boxes, and I assume that you have done the same steps on the other boxes as well. The second step is that we are going to configure the blob store database for keeping in the blob index and blob metadata for the migrated blobs. And this step, this database needs to be configured from any of the WFE servers just once. The third step is that we install RBS component from Microsoft on our content database, and then configure and enable this RBS provider in StorageEdge. And then we'll see how we can migrate the existing blobs using this RBS provider from StorageEdge. So let's get started with this. The downloaded StorageEdge is placed right here. So let's click the installer. Next. Accept. Next. Next. You need to put in your installation key. The key is emailed to you once you download the product. I have the key here in a file, so I'll use this one. And provide in your personal information, saying next. Hit the tab button and say next. 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 We need to view the performance counters remotely, so we have to say yes on the screen. So the setup has detected that all the prerequisites required for StorageEdge to proceed further are working properly and installed. Let's say next. Next again. So this is going to deploy the solution across all WFE servers and activate the farm features. Alright, say next. Close. So we are about to do the second step, which is configuring the blob store database. This blob store database will be used for the blob index. And we need to choose our SQL Server box from here and provide it with an empty database. Test the connection and then create the tables. So you can do this blob store database configuration step either during the installation, or you can do it later using one of our tools, that is about configure blob store database tool. So for SharePoint 2010 along with SQL Server 2008, we need to have the RBS component. The RBS is certainly provided or supported with SQL Server 2008 or higher. Let's say finish. We have successfully installed StorageEdge. There's a quick getting started guide which is open by default after the installation. We need to make sure that these services are running under these appropriate roles. By default, generally, these 3 services, 4 of them are running under these roles, but publishing service and filtering service from StorageEdge, we need to make sure that they are having the exact user roles which have these rights to run properly. So now we are going to move to the third step, since we are going to experiment with the RBS also. We need to download the RBS component, which is placed right here from Microsoft. And this also requires that we run a simple query against your content database to make it active to be used for RBS. Let me show you the query that I've just run. You can copy it from here and take it to your SQL Server Management Studio and paste it here. Just make sure that you change the content database to the one that you have and then run it. I ran this query already. So let's install RBS, say run, next, accept, next, next. Uncheck the file stream provider since StorageEdge uses its own file stream provider. Let's say next. Provide it with the content database name, which is WSS content. Oops. Test the connection. Say next, next. Check this for cleaning orphan blobs from the externalized blobs. Next, next, install. Right, okay. So this RBS component should be installed from each WFE server. I'm just doing it on the current box, assuming that we have done it on the other boxes already. Finish. So by default, StorageEdge installs its administration panel under the application management. If I refresh this, I'll be able to see the StorageEdge panel. So here is the StorageEdge management along with the features that we are providing: content optimization, list caching, session caching, EBS, RBS. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into RBS and check this out. Let's click this. So currently it is showing disabled against my content database. That means I can enable this one. So you can categorize your data into multiple tiers with the RBS provider from StorageEdge. We need to have at least one tier. Let's say add a tier. Provide it a name like T1. And provide it a network shared folder name. Can be any folder on your network. You can enable compression on your externalized blobs to save memory. You can choose to encrypt your blobs using any of the encryption providers from here. You can also choose to receive low disk notifications in case that is happening on your external drive where you are migrating the blobs. You can apply various folder structures. You can organize your data into various folders and file names. For example, you can choose to not to create any folder structure, have the flat file structure, or you can use SharePoint folder names, or you can have auto-generated folders based on some blobs limit in each folder, or you can also use SharePoint file names instead of the GUI-based file names which StorageEdge uses by default. So I'm going to use the SharePoint file names with without any folder structure. Or you can filter the blobs which you're migrating from the content database to the external drive based on various criteria. You can enable this filter on size or some regular expression here or on the file author name. Once you configure multiple tiers for the migration of the blobs from one tier to the next tier, you can specify the blob retention policy, which will exactly tell which blobs should be kept in the current tier and which should be migrated to the next. After you specify the blob retention policy for the next tier and for the current tier to the next tier, you can configure the blob transfer job, which will make sure that it migrates the content based on your retention policy to the next tier. I'm going to use the default options and say OK. We have just created this tier to be used for RBS. I'm going to schedule the migrate existing content job and run it. Say OK. We can view the statistics, whatever goes on underneath. At the moment, there are about 80 blobs in the database, as you can see right from here. And if I hit refresh, all the blobs have been just migrated to the RBS, to the external folder that we provided it in the tier 1 here. So let's check that folder that was //demo1 EBS. So here it is. All these blobs have been successfully migrated to this drive. And if I go to any of the sites within this content database, this is my site, and download any of the document from here, it will be served quickly from the external drive instead of hitting your database for this. This is just a test image. We can also click here and check whether this blob is in the external blob store, the RBS store, or it is in the content database. So currently, the document location is RBS.mp4, which means it has been perfectly successfully relocated and migrated to the external RBS folder. We are no longer using the content database for storing these blobs now. So this is all about the StorageEdge installation and configuration, along with short tutorial on RBS. We're going to dive deep into the RBS with multiple tiers into it, and along with other features in the next tutorial. So stay tuned with us and have a great time.